We just recently had Elestrals FireStorm release, and so we got a booster box, we got one of each starter deck, and as an extra bonus, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Vipyro blister packs, and 1, 2, 3, 4 Lycarus booster packs. Let's get into it. First up, as a bonus to ordering from the Elestrals site, we got 3 FireStorm Exaltair alts. So let's take a closer look at that. So these are bonuses that they give you for ordering $50 or more from their online store of the specific product. I believe these are already out of stock, but if you got them, you got them. Look at that reverse hollow pattern. And this Exaltair is the champion of Hermes. This Exaltair cannot be destroyed in battle. The turn you special cast it from your underworld, and while your Hermes is enchanted, it gets +3 attack. Obviously, this is good for the Hermes decks. Hermes loves putting things in the underworld and then casting things from the underworld. So this goes really well with that. Alright, so I figured we'll start with the starter decks. That way you can see how the starter decks are formed, and for those who don't know how the game works, you can get to know the game by looking at how a deck is constructed. I already went ahead and opened them up, and now, starting with Firestorm, we actually get, 2 starter decks per box and 4 packs. Idea is you can do 2 packs per starter deck. You can play with friends and all that fun stuff. We also got 2 playmats, 2 paper playmats specifically. These are some thick paper, so very nice. They have a board here with a lot of details on the effects and how the different rules are of the game. It tells you about the different types of runes, tells you about the different types of phases, tells you about the different zones and what they mean. And then on the other side is just a nice little poster that you can hang if you so desire. And then there is another one here as well. Show you real quick. Obviously, that previous one was Hermes, which is one of the starter decks. This one right here. And this other one here we have is Zeus for this boy right here. Yeah, so this has been a relatively new TCG that I've picked up because I enjoy how they set up the system with the spirits and all that fun stuff. And B, honestly, I'm really liking how they're doing distribution. I'm liking how they're setting up their products. I'm liking how they're supporting their tournaments and local game stores. Really seems like a player-friendly game. So here we're starting with Zeus. Zeus has this Volt Tempest, champion of Zeus. And it says when your champion of Zeus is destroyed in battle, meaning any Elestral that has this champion of Zeus title, you can special cast this Volt Tempest from your hand with Thunder, Thunder, Wind. If your Zeus is enchanted and you control no Elestrals. So the last Elestral you have on the field dies, you have a Zeus on the field, bam, you can special cast this from the hand. It's a 14 attack. Really good. Also, really one thing quick to note, these starter decks all have a chance to hit as Stellar. Stellar is what this is. You can tell by that little sign up here that something is a Stellar. More or less, it's basically a shiny in Pokemon. So if there is one, it'll be right behind this card. There isn't one. But we do first go to the spirits. So the spirits is how you cast something. It is both the cost system as well as your life total. So you have 20 in a deck, and you can put any type of spirit that you want. There's absolutely no restriction on amount or anything like that. And you have 20. Once you get to 0, if you're forced to expend or use a spirit and you don't have any in deck, that's when you lose. So for example, this Voltempest here is a Thunder, Thunder, Wind. That means he's a 3-spirit Elestral. So you can actually enchant him with any 3 spirits and he will still be a functional Elestral on the field, but if it's not specifically Thunder, Thunder, Wind, then he will not have any of his effects. And obviously, as if you recall, you can only special cast it with specifically Thunder, Thunder, Wind, so you're incentivized to have the correct spirits. And then if for any reason, you lose a spirit off of a 3-spirit Elestral, you don't have 3 spirits anymore, then automatically by game actions, he is sent to the underworld, along with any other spirits that were on him. But actually, I'm going to go over the spirits at the end, since it'll help understand the ratio of the spirits by knowing what's in the deck. So first things, we have the counter runes here. So we have Poison Tipped Arrow at 2 of, we have a Pandora's Box, and then we have our Invoke runes, Nectar of the Dog, Nectar of the Dog, Nectar of the Gods, we have Circle of the Sky, and of course we have Ambrosia, we got Hurricane, and then we have Tsunami, which is a great counter rune, Thunderstorm at 2, Race to the Top at 2, Mount Olympus at 2, Zeus's Call at 1, Thunderbolt of Zeus at 1, and a double Zeus Divine, and then we're down to the Elestrals, so we have 2 Galaxair, 1 Titanostrike, 2 Astrabit, 2 Jolton, 1 Magnaros, 1 Electrifly, 1 regular Voltempest, 1 of the old Griffews, 2 of the old Elechic, Titanostrike Champion of Zeus, a Fulgaris Champion of Zeus, a Griffews Champion of Zeus, and 2 Elechic Champion of Zeus. And then there's also a little card for Chop Elestrals, and also the app if you want to learn how to play. So essentially the idea of the deck is you're going pretty aggressive. Your Griffews here, it says you can Nexus, which means moving a spirit from an existing Elestral, Stadium, or Rune onto somewhere else of those. But however, this says you can Nexus a Thunder and Wind from a Divine Rune specifically, and when you do, you can special ascend this Griffews to Voltempest from your hand or deck. So ideally, you'll be going to this one with that effect, because the other one you want to keep in hand to do that special cast in response. And then the old Voltempest says you can disenchant Thunder or Wind from this Voltempest to force an opponent to expend 3, which means you burn them for 3 damage. Then it says while Zeus is enchanted, it cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effect. So pretty good protective, and you just burn them. But obviously be careful not to go below 3 spirits, otherwise you lose your big guy. And then the new stuff here lets you, like when you cast a Titanostrike, you can search for a Thunderstorm. Thunderstorm you saw back here. Thunderstorm just targets and destroys a rune. And then Fulgaris, Champion of Zeus, says you can disenchant a Thunder from Zeus in order to darken and destroy a face-down rune, basically another Thunderstorm. And then if you do, you also gain 2 attack. So you go from 3 to having 5 attack until the next turn. So it happens during your opponent's turn. Your increase in power during your opponent's turn as well. The new Griffews says it can special ascend from your hand on top of a Champion of Zeus, but it cannot be played misenchanted this way, so it has to be Thunderwind. When you cast this Griffews, you can give all your opponents Elestrals -3 attack, so you just are able to swing over them. So it's a 6-2, but effectively a 9-2. And then the Elechic Champion of Zeus is when it declares an attack, you can give it +1 attack for each Thunder enchanting each Zeus on the field. So if you have 2 Zeuses, each at 2, you get +4. Or if you have just one that has 4, you also get +4. So that's pretty good. Typical aggro strategy. And then we'll go into the Spirit deck. So real quick, now you're wondering, what is Leviathan doing here? So Leviathan is the water spirit you have a 2 of, and that's because you have 1 Hurricane and 2 Tsunamis. So you're probably not going to cast all 3, and even if you really want to cast all 3, Ambrosia recovers you, so you don't need all the all 3 water spirits in deck. So you can potentially recover if you need to cast all 3, but you're probably not going to need to cast all 3. So 2 is enough to cast all 3 of these cards. Those are the only water cards in the deck. And then we have the 4 Lycarus. This is basically just for those Griffuses and the Volt Tempest. You don't really need them for anything else on the deck, except, again, that Hurricane. But that's just a 1-0. And then the rest are all Zaptors. So again, your main strategy is Thunder. Makes sense for most of the cards to be Thunder. So put that aside real quick, and then get into the Champion of Hermes. Yeah, so Hermes is actually a new divine, unlike Zeus, who existed before and was just a more generic divine, I'd say. With Hermes here, we have Carry Off, Champion of Hermes. Still no Stellar, but that's fine. He says you can shuffle an Elestral in your underworld into your deck as just an effect, and then when this Carry Off is sent to the underworld with Hermes effect, you can target an Elestral and expend spirits equal to the number of its enchanting spirits to destroy it. So when this goes from deck to the underworld using the Hermes' effect, we can essentially just pop something by expending that many spirits. As the number of enchanting spirits, so that's not the cost it has, that's how many spirits are actually on it. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So obviously, off the bat, we know that this is going to be some kind of underworld type shenanigans going on and a lot of popping stuff. So here we actually have the stronger counter rune, in my opinion, Gorgon's Gaze. We have Sharon's Oval, not really a strong counter rune, Altar of Stars. And then we have Rise from the Ashes, obviously, because we're going to be doing a lot of graveyard shenanigans. Makes sense. Draft of the Lead basically is a shuffle your hand into your deck and grab that many cards back +1. Obviously, because we send cards from the deck to the trash. If we have those cards in hand, that's going to be unfortunate. We want to get them back into the deck. So that's good for that. We have our 2 Ambrosia. We have some Dense Fog. We have an Earthquake, a Tornado, 2 Island of Aeolia, a Hermes Trickery, a Teleria of Hermes, a Catechus of Hermes, and then Hermes himself. Hermes says you can disenchant 2 from him in order to search your deck for a Wind Elestral and send it to your underworld. So again, search that Carry Off, and it says it is a Wind Elestral. It doesn't have to be light blue in order for it to be wind. As long as any of these are wind, then it is a Wind Elestral. Send it to the deck. Send it from deck to underworld. Once you do, pop something. Pretty cool. Using the Carry Off effect. We have 1 Specterus. We have Cockadoodle, Toxiswarm, the old Carry Off. Then we have our Carry On. When it's destroyed by battle, target the Elestral that destroyed it and take control of it again. We have Aardvarm, which searches for insects, which both carry on and carry off, as well as Toxistorm and Spectres even are all insects, so it makes sense to have it. Ardbud also searches for insects, and then we Spinosect, which is also an insect, also a Wind Elestral, and this one's Champion of Hermes. When you cast the Spinosect, you can return an Elestral to its owner's hand. Doesn't even say target, so that's awesome. And then when it's sent from field or deck to the underworld, you can Nexus to Wind. It's just an extra way to Nexus. Spine-Nymph is also a Champion of Hermes card here. When you normal cast the Spine-Nymph, you can search your deck for a Hermes and add it to your hand. So it's great divine search. And then you can also disenchant a Wind from this Spine-Nymph in order to special ascend it to Spinosect from your hand or deck. So that's also really good, but obviously this means that you need an Earth and a Wind, probably why this one can let you Nexus. Exaltair, this is Champion of Hermes. Exaltair cannot be destroyed in battle this turn. Exaltair cannot be destroyed in battle the turn you cast it from your underworld. We already talked about this. This is the stellar one that we got. We have Dracodoodle. When a Cockadoodle is sent to your underworld, you can special cast this Dracodoodle from your underworld with 2 Wind. You may only play 1 Dracodoodle this way each turn. And then this Draco also gets +2 for each suppressed card on the field. So obviously you have this Cockadoodle or you have the old Cockadoodle, doesn't really matter which one, as soon as it gets destroyed, or if you sent it to the underworld from the deck using the Champion of Hermes effect, while this is in trash, bam, comes right back out and can be a really big boy. Cockadoodle Champion of Hermes, when it's sent from the field or deck to your underworld, you can suppress a card on the field until next turn. So again, since this gets +2 for each suppressed card, obviously, when this gets either destroyed and goes to the underworld or trashed using the Hermes, this gets special cast back out. It gets +1, +2 attack because this Cockadoodle also suppresses something. And then lastly, we have the Carrion. When it's sent from deck to the underworld with Hermes' effect, you can special cast it from your underworld using a wind from either spirit deck or your underworld, meaning that you can recur a wind. So it's also a free cast, essentially. So you can use Champion of Hermes effect, bam, this is special cast, and then suddenly you can ascend into Spinous Sect, you can ascend into Carry Off, you can ascend into Dracodoodle, you can ascend into even a Cockadoodle if you want, or Toxiswarm, or whatever you want. So pretty good. And then the Earth Splash here is because of the Spinous Sect and the Ardbud. And then two things I didn't mention is uh, the way starter decks work is even if there's a restricted or a banned card in the starter deck, you can still play it. It is still legal as long as you're playing the deck exactly as is out of the box. As soon as, including this includes the spirit deck, by the way. So as long as you don't change any card in the deck and any card in any card in the spirit deck, you're good to use any restricted or banned cards. So that's pretty good. The other thing to note is you notice that here there's carry on, here there's carry off, and similar thing with the Dracodoodles and the Cockadoodles. Uh, and the Cockadoodles, a playset of cards is 3. However, even though the name restricts how many cards you can place in a deck, because this is Cockadoodle Champion of Hermes, that is the full name of the card. That is a different name than just Cockadoodle. So for any of you deck builders out there, that's a good to know. All right, and lastly, let's quickly go through these packs. And then for the sake of it, since we get one of each art, obviously we have Hermes and Zeus, and then let's say keep the old together and the new together. And let's do a straight up old pack battle. So starting off, let's say with Zeus. I like to cut them because the packaging is actually quite thick and I don't want to damage the cards. We have a Kite Mite, an Urskote, Frigicub, a Bunnix, a Soul Bell, a Waspire, a Globby, and actually, before I get to the last card, so the card after this is going to be a rare, and you'll know that by looking at the bottom here. So this is because it's a completed diamond. That's an uncommon. As soon as there's a dot in that diamond, that's a rare. And so rares can be either foil or non-foil. And then obviously we can hit a stellar, we can hit a reverse stellar, and we can hit full arts. So let's see. Nice. So now here we got a rare that is hollow, an Exaltair. And then the last card is always that spirit. So let's see what we got on the Hermes side. Can it beat a hollow rare, or at least match it? Nimbug, Kite Mite, Urskote, Frigicup, Bunnix, Lycavoid. That's actually a pretty good card. Torch of Hestia, Andal Hestus, and a Majursa. So that's not a hollow rare. But maybe in pack 2 we'll have the Hermes side win. But first up is Poseidon. We got Elechick, Sparkit, Sorlet, which is Aeolus' champion, We got a Carrion and a Cockadoodle. We got an Ankyloshock, a Charcoon, a Chivalror, and a non-hollow Viserys. So it looks like the Hermes side has a chance. But let's see if they get it, if they can tie or better. We have a Sparkit, a Sorlet, a Carrion, a Cockadoodle, Nimbug, Lyre of Apollo, Panzer, Torchin, Champion of Hestia, and a Flammoth. So, hollow, hollow, not hollow, not hollow. Looks like it's a tie here. Next up, Hestia versus Poseidon. Let's see. So obviously, I have a little divider. Who cares about that? But we've got our 4 packs, and we've got our 2 decks, the Poseidon deck, as well as the Hestia deck. And same as before, we have the 2 play mats. I'm gonna quickly show off those beautiful arts. Love to see them. Bam! There's our girl Hestia with the Medusa in the back. I wonder how many people will have her as her waifu. I don't know how much of a waifu-based community there is, but for those who have husbandos, there's Poseidon with his Medusa. All right. Let's set that aside for now. And similar before, let's start with a returning Divine Poseidon. He has a Majesty, Champion of Poseidon. While Poseidon is enchanted and this Majesty is in attack position, spirits enchanting Elestrals are water instead of their original element. You can return up to 2 water from your underworld to your spirit deck if this Medusa is in defense position. So it means if it's an attack, you got a 6 attack, not that great, but to compensate for that lower attack, you effectively turn off any Elestral's ability that is not specifically a water Elestral. But that also means that you can be a little more cheeky with your spirit, because if you have, let's say, another water Elestral, but you don't have enough water spirits left in your spirit deck, you can enchant that with anything. As long as this is an attack position, it would still have its effect because it's treated as water. And then if you're in defense position, you're trying to not take too much damage, you can also heal damage. So every turn. And if you're new to Elestrals, any effect that says you can, that means it's still once per turn. You can't do this, obviously, until you have fully healed all your water. That would be too broken. So you can affect her just once per turn. And again, behind this could be a Stellar. Let's take a peek. Nope, no Stellar. That's all right. No big deal. We got our spirits, though. So we're actually seeing only 2 lunar, only 2 solar. Everything else is water. That makes sense. Let's get into the deck. So we have 2 poison tipped, 2 gorgons. Really nice counter rune lineup. 1 altar of stars. We got 2 nectar of the gods, which is just draw power. Divine healings. This is essentially a cheaper ambrosia for healing, but then you can only really use those spirits to put onto a divine for the divine's effect or for casting other runes. We got 2 of those. We got a circle of the sky. Obviously, we got our 2 tsunamis. Obviously, we got our tsunami tide. We got a rock in a hard place. Rise from the depths. Atlantis. Poseidon's Fury, new card. There's a disenchant any number of water from 1 or more Poseidons, and an opponent disenchants the same number from their field. So let's say you have a Poseidon and with 1, then you spend 1, you enchant 3 from your underworld onto him. Bam! Suddenly you can use this Poseidon's Fury to force your opponent to disenchant 4 from their field. If they don't have a divine, they have a 2 Spirit Elestral and a 1 Spirit Elestral. Bam! Their field cleared. Trident of Poseidon, and then we have Poseidon himself. We have Plucky, which is a defensive divine search. We have Harpy, a new card. which is the water variant of Plucky. Your Elestrals cannot be attacked except for this Harpy. When this Harpy is destroyed in battle, you can draw 2 cards if you have a Divine Rune. Divine Rune again, like Poseidon in this case. I have Javelantis, Veritaqua, Fomies, Drataqua, the old Glauby, and Sluggle. We have New Galaxy, Champion of Poseidon. When it receives 1 or more water, you can swap every Elestral's attack with its defense until the next turn. So pretty good. You can use Altar of Stars or Circle of the Sky or whatever to give it another one, and it happens again. So it's recursive, and you get to choose when it happens. We have Javelantis, Champion of Poseidon. When you cast Tsunami, you can special ascend this Javelantis in your hand from one of your water Elestrals. Your water enchanted Elestrals deal piercing damage while Poseidon is enchanted. So this is a synergy with Tsunami. So both on your turn with Tsunami High Tide, because again it still is a Tsunami, and on your opponent's turn using the counter rune Tsunami, you can special ascension this, bam, suddenly I'm an 8 attacker. And then when you cast Tsunami, you also have piercing damage. That's for attacking into defense position, you still deal damage. You have the new Veritaqua, Champion of Poseidon. When it receives 1 or more water in a nexus from Poseidon, you can special ascend it to Veritaqua or Javelantis from your hand or deck. So in response to a high, so you can go into another one of itself at either of the Javelantis, or even you can go to the old Veritaqua, which says when it enters battle with a defense position Elestral, you can suppress that Elestral and destroy it. If you do this, Veritaqua deals no damage this battle, so actually a pretty big battle trick that you can do now. You have the new Glauby, which is the previous form of the Majesty. When you cast this Glauby, you can search your deck for an Atlantis or Arise from the Depth and add it to your hand. Pretty nice. And then you have the new Sluggle. When it receives 1 or more with Poseidon's effect, you can special ascend this Sluggle to Glauby from hand or deck. And again, that Glauby is either the new one or the old one. And you get 3 of those. I think that's the first 3 of we've gotten in any of these decks. So that's interesting to note. All right. Next up, we've got Hestia with Majursa. Majursa says when you cast this Majursa, you can target and destroy cards up to the number of Ursa Elestrals on your field. Also, your Ursa Elestrals or Bear Elestrals get +1 attack for each fire enchanting each Hestia on the field. So you have multiple Hestia again, multiple fire enchanted, bam, your guys are suddenly really big. And it's already starting at 8, which is decently big. But also as a bonus, when you first cast this, which means to ascend, or if you're just casting this using the Ursa Den, which is a field spell effectively, you could pop quite a lot of things because the whole point of Bear is to go wide. And now let's see if we get a Stellar. No Stellar again, no big deal. We've got our Flurmine, which is the Frost Spirit, and we've got our Vipyro, which is the Fire Spirit. Makes sense. Bears is a fan favorite type deck, which is Frost Fire. So it makes sense for a starter deck to be just those 2 colors. Obviously, if you're building this yourself, you probably want to splash in some Astrabbit, splash in some other stuff. Maybe you can Tsunami and stuff like that for defensive. It depends how you're going. Probably an Earthquake. So we got the last counter rune that we haven't actually seen. Shield of Achilles bounces something when it attacks. Pandora's Box. We got Helios' Chariot Ride. Resting on your laurels. Pretty good. We got 2 Ambrosia. We got Hibernation, which is a new bear-based invoke rune. Can only be played if you control a bear. You can target 2 fire or frost spirits in your underworld, return them to your spirit deck, or enchant them to your Ursa deck if you do draw a card. So it's draw, it's recursion, because essentially you're paying 1 to get 2 back, you're healing 1. Pretty good. You got Cryoblast, another pretty good card, Blizzard, and then Don't Poke the Bear. This is part of the reason why this deck is a fan favorite. It's the best combat trick available. You can only be played during the battle phase. You target a bear Elestral and give it +4 attack and +4 defense. Really powerful, but very restricted. Chains of Prometheus, and now we got the Ursa Den. And I'll go over it real quick just to understand the Madrasa's effect. Your bear Elestrals get +1/+1 for your attack and defense. And then when a player casts a bear, you can enchant any type of spirit to this Ursa Den. So this has to be from your spirit deck. And then you can disenchant 4 from it in order to special cast a bear Elestral from your hand or deck. And it starts already at 2. So the idea is you can cast this at 2. You can then hibernation for 1. You have now 4. You can immediately pop it. Or if you wait 1 turn or Nexus, you can use it and still keep your stuff. Hestia's Hearth, you can enchant a fire from your underworld to a card on your field. Then if that card was Hestia or a champion of Hestia, you may enchant an additional file from your underworld to it. Pretty big. Torch of Hestia. This is an artifact rune, essentially an equip spell. Powered Elestrals get +2. When the empowered Elestrals declare an attack, you can foretell 3, reveal the top 3, and you can put them back in any order. If Hestia is enchanted, you can also add a fire card full tilt this way. You have Hestia herself, which says when you cast this Hestia, you can enchant up to 3 fire to it. That's every divine has that. And then you can disenchant 2 from it in order to special cast a 1 spirit fire Elestral from your hand with fire. If an opponent controls the same number of Elestrals as you or more. So you can essentially come back from being behind using this Hestia by swarming your field. You also have Glaciersa, which is the companion to the Madrasa, deals piercing damage, and then you can suppress an attack. When you're attacking, you have Abominursa, you have Urskout, Ursicle, Lavalith, pretty cool, Ursier. That's an interesting misprint. All right. We have Ursmog, you have Urscout, you have Torch and Champion of Hestia. When you cast it, search your deck for a Hestia or a Torch of Hestia, add it to your hand, and then you can also Nexus 1 fire per turn. Champion of Hestia Amphyrix. You can disenchant fire from your Hestia in order to add a fire spirit Elestral from your underworld to your hand. Recursion. When you ascend this Amphyrix, during your end phase, you can special cast it from your underworld with fire. So you ascend it, it comes back. All nice. We got a Warmite. When it receives 1 or more fire, you can target an Elestral and give it -3 attack until the next turn. When a player casts Hestia's Hearth, you can return 2 fire from your underworld to deck. So not only with Hestia's Hearth are you enchanting from your fire, you can also recover fire. And so you're recovering, you're healing 1 and you're healing 1 total because the Hearth costs 1. But you're also healing back by adding stuff to your spirits or Hestia. Earthscout Champion of Hestia, when you special cast this Earthscout, you can search your deck for Champion of Hestia. Great, more search for the deck, that's awesome. And there you have it. Also, side note, the Warmite is the part of a spider strategy that is also picking up quite a lot of steam from what I can tell in competitive. And then similar to what we did before, we'll do Hestia and Hephaestus versus Poseidon and second Hephaestus. Let's just pretend this is Zeus. I guess I thought it was such a coincidence that I got a Zeus that I thought like, oh wow, they must put one of each in the in the starter decks because I thought, that'll be nice. But I guess it might be annoying to try to guarantee that. All right, let's see the Hestia pack. We got a Harpy, Pandison, Titanostalk, Spine Drataya, Javalantis, Waylands, Griffuse, and we got a Hermes. I think I called him Hephaestus. I meant Hermes. My brain is fried. And next we got the Poseidon. Let's see, can he beat a foil rare? Sluggle, Rataqua, Narpoon, Harpy, Electric, Charcoon, Chivalror, Lycavoid, and Zeus's Call. No holo. Alright. Let's see. With this Hermes, can he keep up the aggression? Basically guaranteeing the win? Got Nemistar. Arachne's Lair. This is part of why spiders are popping off. When a player casts Warmite, Frostmite, Chitemite, Floranki, or Polarachne, or Parachne, that player must draw a card. So it's one of the best card draw in the game right now. We have a Foloi Forest. We have a Reforge, Hibernation, Torchin, Waspire, Glauby, and Solar Charged. So we've got 2 holo rares. Let's see, can this Hermes, who is a stand-in in this case for Zeus, get a full art or perhaps a stellar to take back this terrible position, to claw the victory back from the opponent? Let's see. Sparkit, Carrion, Cockadoodle, Nimbug, Chitemite, Torch, Anvil, Catechus of Hermes, and Hermes Trickery. Looks like they ran out of gas. I guess it was kind of random which Hermes I picked for which side, but as we have it, Hestia won that pack battle. All right, and last up, let's blitz through these blister packs. We'll start with the Stellar Vipyro packs. So the cool thing with these packs, for those who don't know, is the only place that we've gotten the stellar spirits for fire, earth, water, wind, and thunder is the Kickstarter. So this actually gave us a new way to get these stellar spirits, which is really sick. Look at this Vipyro. Love that guy. All right. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and open up all these Vipyro ones, and we'll get to opening them, and then we'll compare our hits with what we get from the Lycarus ones. All right, we got our blisters opened up. Now we have the packs. We can go through them real quick. Something to note is hollow foil cards in Elestrals do tend to pringle, as you can see. And obviously it gets worse if you don't either put them somewhere where there's something holding them down, or ideally just, put them in a binder and they should be okay. They should not pringle that much. So yeah, just a quick quick PSA there. I don't know how I cut that so terribly, but hey, at least I didn't damage the cards. All right, okay. Pack number 1 for the Vipyro. Warmite, Ignector, Ursicote, Frigicub, Bunnix, Chivalror, Lycavoid, good card, Torch of Hestia, and a Volt Tempest, Champion of Zeus. I'll put them aside, put the rares aside, and then we'll compare at the end. So I got into this game thanks to a buddy of mine, and I really wish I have more time to compete online, because they do a lot of they do a lot of online tournaments, which I find really fun. I just have been too busy with Digimon and with life to compete a lot in this game, but I do enjoy the game. Reforge, Hibernation, Glauby, Javelantis, Waylines, and a Carry-Off. Not looking good so far for the Pyro packs. But yeah, I like the system that the game has. I've always been interested in Yu-Gi-Oh, but when I tried it, the fact that there's no cost to any of the cards you play really put me off. And so with this, you have the spirits as your cost, and I think that interested me a lot more. We got Jataya, Rummikle, Nimbug, Chitemite, Ursicote, Griffuse, Titanostrike, and Kilo Shock, and Verdalith, Champion of Demeter. Alright, we got one holo rare. Fun fact, by the way, about the holo rares. The holo rares are fixed. So unlike how Pokemon used to be, where a rare can be holo or not, and it's the same rare, there's no. Every Vertilith is holo. Every Carry-Off is non-holo, unless you get it from the starter deck. If you, as you remember, same thing with the Volt Tempest. But when you're talking about the packs themselves, it's either always going to be holo or always not going to be holo for that specific card. We got Electric, Pandison, Plucky, Werepup, Nemistar, Globby, Javalantis, Waylance, and Flaracne. All right. So we've got one. We've got one holo rare. The rest were just non-holo rare. So it's really not looking good for that Vipyro. Let's set you aside and let's grab those Lycarus Blisters. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open that. See you in a bit. All right, we got these Lycarus open up. First of all, look at how pretty this Lycarus is. Sorry for the glare on that main camera, but look at him. Look at that reverse stellar Lycarus. So gorgeous. I actually keep mixing up reverse stellar versus regular stellar, but just in general, look at that stellar Lycarus. Gorgeous. All right, let's see how the Lycarus packs go. I actually had pretty good luck with other blister packs. I think most the stellars that I've opened have been through blister packs. So we'll see how good our luck can be. Got an Ignector, Veritaqua, Narpoon, Harpy, Electric, Torchin, Waspire, Globby, and Flammoth. Uh-oh. Vipyro should be sweating now. I mean, first pack and already we're tied. We literally cannot be worse than a tie right now with the Vipyro. Let's see if our luck is better or just the same. Kitemite, Rescoat, Frigica, Bunnix, Soulbell, Charcoon, Chivalroar, Lycavoid, and Vertilith. Alright. Unfortunately, that seals it, but let's see how good it can be. I'd really like some of the full arts. Really pretty in this set, especially the Divines or the ones where you have the champions with their Divines. Very pretty cards. Cockadoodle, Kitemite, Earthcoat, Charcoon, Chivalroar, Lycavoid, and Niximera. First Niximera we've seen. This is what this is what ascends from the Bunnix, and also a pretty good card competitively seems to be after the first week of this set. There's also a fallen form of it, but also triple holo rares so far. We got a Spinnymph, a Drataya, a Rummikul, an Urskau, Warmite, a Torchin, a Waspire, a Globby, and a Dracodoodle. So we actually got the reverse, where we got 3 holos and 1 non-holo versus 3 non-holos and a holo. Clearly, Lycarus, my boy, a lot better of a spirit than Vipyro. Definitely serious there. I mean, I do like Lycarus more, but I like Vipyro too. I mean, come on, Fire Snake. Who doesn't like a Fire Snake? All right, that would be all for my opening. I hope you enjoyed that. I do recommend giving Elestrals a shot if you enjoy it, especially with how easy it is. I mean, like to get into. I mean, come on, you get a bunch of staples, you get 2 starter decks for what used to be the price of 1. They're decently playable, if I'm being honest. It doesn't need too much to upgrade. All the staples are reprinted so much, especially now with the Divine reprints. I mean, they used to be a little hard to get to, but now like every starter deck comes with 2. And by the way, this is called Divine Champions FireStorm. This is a let me get these out of the way. There you go. Divine Champions FireStorm. So actually, FireStorm is like a subtitle to Divine Champions. And I think that is because they will continue to do Divine Champions until we get through all the champions, and we might get 2 more, because these were 2 new champions, divines, sorry, that we gotten. And even if you recall, we did see stuff like that divine champion of Demeter, but we didn't see Demeter in any of the starter decks. I think as we will be getting them, is my guess, and we'll be getting more support for other divines as well as potentially new divines. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, if you enjoyed this and you'd like to see more openings, I'm going to be opening the Divine Champions FireStorm booster box on a stream. Uh, Hope to see you there. With details I will put on screen right now, and then we'll also be sorting. So stop on by. For now, see you later.